Today, I want to talk about an issue within the ReZero community that has been plaguing it for as long as I've honestly been within the community. And that issue in question is going to be the fake reader epidemic that swarms ReZero like no other series I have ever seen before. So yeah, that's exactly what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to go a bit into the fake reader epidemic and why I think this affects ReZero more than any other series I have ever really seen. I mean, there's a few other that hold a candle to it, but I feel like ReZero specifically is a series that keeps people, where they don't actually read it, but they hear about it and they spread stuff about it without reading it. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about that today. If you enjoy this type of content, if you enjoy ReZero, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to help me out directly, a broke college student, my membership link is right there. It is in the description below. I post about ReZero. You get to help pick topics for the videos, yada yada yada. Anyways, like I said, let's just go ahead and get right into the video. So I actually just made a TikTok about this, and it had me thinking, a couple of ideas. Why is this the case? Why is ReZero, so neglected and clearly obviously has such a large amount of fake readers? And this becomes very evident when you start looking past Arc 6 and you start looking at Arc 7 and 8 characters. I mean, how much do you see characters and, people such as Vincent be talked about amongst fans? You don't see these characters talked about. And when you look into that and you look into other Arc 7 and 8 characters, it becomes quite clear who has actually read it and who hasn't. And I think one of the most glaring images and one of the most glaring aspects of who has actually read it is when you start talking about Arc 6. Every fake ReZero reader's moment within Arc 6 is either this one right here or this one right here. You don't really hear about any other moments. You don't hear about Patricia's impact. You don't hear about Ram's impact. You don't hear about Melee's impact. You don't hear about Rui's impact. I mean, all these characters just go unmentioned. It is quite literally just this moment or this moment, and they only glaze Subaru when quite literally there are characters who are almost just as good as Subaru when you actually read Arc 6 and you get into the content. These are just a couple of glaring reasons and images, but I want to look into why. Why is this the case? To start off, I think the most glaring issue and why ReZero has so many fake readers is the fact that ReZero is a light novel. It's not a manga. You can't pick it up and look at the pretty pictures and read it like that. And as much as this hurts to say, and I also made a video about this and the comments honestly just made me sad, most people just can't read. They just can't do it. Like, the will to pick up a book and read the pages is just not there, which I personally just don't get. I feel like it's a pretty easy thing. If you're somebody who, is just lazy straight up, like I am too, I can't lie, I can see how it could be hard, but like, even before that, like when you're going to bed, I mean, like read to go to sleep, read for 15 to 20 minutes, like it's not that hard. But yeah, I mean, not reading the light novel within itself and not caring for reading, that's not a problem within itself. The problem stems from when these people who don't want to read won't read, so they'll go ahead and instead of actually reading, they'll go onto the wiki or they'll watch, a light novel historian video that's summarizing it, or they'll watch one of my videos where I talk about like an Arc 6 or 7 video, and they'll go ahead and watch that and think that they understand the character moments, think that they're getting the dynamics, think that it's all going to be there when they don't. And it's like, listen man, I get it. Reading ReZero can be intimidating. It it undoubtedly is. It is one of the longest series out there. It is a series that has many chapters, but you just sometimes you just gotta thug it out. Like, if this is a series you genuinely enjoy and a series you want to keep up with, I don't see the qualms with, just reading a chapter a night, reading a chapter a day, reading a couple a day, if you have the time, obviously. If you don't have the time, then I mean, yeah, don't put yourself to that. If you feel you can spend your time doing more valuable things, being successful in other avenues and feel like, your time is better spent going to the gym or doing something else, for all means, like, do that, But I find most people a lot of the time are just TikTok doom scrolling, and reading and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people don't facilitate, that the chapter lengths are honestly often correlated with the episode lengths. Like 20 minutes of watching an episode of ReZero is a cake. 20 minutes of reading a chapter, which is about probably how much you would get, feels like a drag for most people, I've noticed. And for those of you that struggle to read the web novel, which I know is going to be a lot of you, I would genuinely recommend reading the light novel because you'll get more images. The story is more, how do I say it? It doesn't feel like as much of a rough draft. I guess people say that often, but it is true. Like, the story does feel more progressive. It feels like there's less pointless dialogue, which there is in the web novel at times. I would be lying if I said otherwise. But yeah, check out the light novel, which I know it's only up to the beginning of Arc 7, but still you'll be able to get all of Arc 6 and a lot of pretty cool stuff within that. Another reason why I think it is just absolutely horrible for ReZero is the amount of interesting lore ReZero has. I feel as if ReZero is a series that has some of the most interesting lore out there, and so people will see this lore, they will be super intrigued by it because it quite honestly is intriguing. I mean, the mystery aspect of ReZero propels it so high, but this mystery aspect is honestly quite what is the double-edged sword for the fandom, because when people get enticed by this mystery, most of the time it is fans who aren't going to be super fans and going to be willing to read a book of this series. You know, they might watch the anime in passing, but they don't really care to read it. So they'll hear a bit of information and be like, oh, what's this? ReZero? That doesn't seem like the original series. What is this about? And they'll look into that, and they'll often go down this rabbit hole of ReZero lore and ReZero mystery, and a lot of ReZero YouTubers will provide this, and at times a lot of ReZero YouTubers will, you know, provide misinformation. I myself cannot say I am perfect. I have definitely slipped up here or two on certain things that I was confused on, and I've been clarified for, and I'm willing to admit that, but a lot of people aren't. It's why I always clarify, don't use my videos as a source of information for ReZero, just actually read the series if you want to get a full grand picture of what's going on, because whatever I am telling you is not going to be facilitated and communicated in the way that Tappei Nagase could tell you, and you know, it won't have the level of impact that reading the words on the page yourself would. As I was saying, this interesting lore and this interesting mystery, it entices people and they want to read more about it without actually reading. So like I said, most of the time they will check out the wiki page, they will check out a YouTube video, stuff like that. And I think the most glaring victim of all of this is going to be the if stories. Oh my God. The amount of misinformation that comes from these goddamn if stories it's not even funny. Like, it's not even funny. Like, I know I got the gluttony of Subaru right there behind me, but genuinely, it is bad. A lot of the time, people will post just cool fan edits on TikTok, in which people will watch these cool fan edits, and most of the time, it is this dude's fan art right here. It's not even the official art, which, don't get me wrong, his art is amazing. I feel bad because people hate on him now a lot because, you know, so many ReZero fans have glorified the art and genuinely just use it for every single edit, and it is overused because obviously ReZero is a light novel web novel. It doesn't have that many art, you know, to go along with it. So he gets a lot of hate when his art is still genuinely amazing. It's just been made a bit corny by the ReZero fans who spam the absolute hell out of it. I mean, yeah, man, the if stories, like specifically the greed if story, I have seen this one so much, and so much misinformation be spread about this if story. It's not even funny. But the problem is that when people hear these if stories and they hear what's going on, they get honestly quite confused with the main story, and they get confused with Subaru's character as a whole, which leads people to having a pretty false representation and idea of who Subaru is going into the main series. I mean, I have literally heard of and see people go into ReZero thinking Subaru was going to be this like super tough, cool guy, you know, how the edits portray him and stuff like that. And then they go into it and they see how he actually is, which he's not. You know, if you've seen ReZero, you know he's not at the end of the day. Maybe by season 3 he is, but season 1, it gets grim during season 1. It's not looking good. But yeah, they go into it and they see that and they're like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? Like, this sucks, when it's pretty unfair for the series as a whole and leads to a pretty, you know, sharp misinterpretation of what is actually going on. But past these if stories, I think an issue that is also really prevalent is spoilers. There is just certain series out there that fans don't care about spoilers. You'll get a few where they'll be like, yo, don't spoil, don't spoil, don't spoil. ReZero is not one of those fandoms. I have never seen a series and a fandom, besides maybe Dexter, AOT, and JJK, that will just so willingly spoil their own series for the sake of no reason. Like, these fans will straight up just post every single twist that happens, whether it be in Arc 6 or Arc 9, specifically Arc 9. Oh my God, this is the main issue, I think. I think genuinely spoilers is a main issue. ReZero fans will spoil their series so much, and when you get spoiled for something, you obviously don't want to read it. I mean, that is just implied for everybody. Luckily, I got into ReZero before the spoilers were really that bad, and I was able to read the series without getting spoiled and have a unique, full experience, which is just insane. But when you see these spoilers, you're obviously going to be like, well, I don't want to read everything that comes up to those spoilers, because now that I know what happens, it's like, you know, what's the payoff of all of this? What's the twist? And I think this is also genuinely just a big issue, and one that is a specific problem, not just for ReZero, but for a lot of other series out there. And it kind of sucks to talk about because I feel as if there really is no way to solve this issue. I mean, it is just something that you are always going to have no matter what, especially within a series like ReZero, which, as I was mentioned earlier with, you know, the mystery point, I'm going to kind of bridge those, is just one that genuinely has a lot of mystery to it. And because of this mystery, when stuff is revealed, fans feel the need to go forth and just spoil it and tell everybody else. It's kind of like that meme where it's like the guy sounding the bell or whatever from, you know, the Revolutionary War. It's kind of like that. It's like anything is revealed anything happens within these later arcs and they just tell people immediately without any thought or glimpse of idea that, they could be spoiling somebody, this could be something cool that they were reading and, instead just now they know what's going to happen. So yeah, to bridge this all together, the biggest problem within the ReZero community right now is just the fake readers. And I kind of feel bad for these fake readers because I think a lot of the time, outside of the people who just, straight up like, we'll just go on ChatGPT, start typing away and be like, explain Subaru's most important moments within Arc 6. Outside of those people who are just insufferable, are just genuinely fans who want to get into the series, but most likely have been spoiled or don't have the time of day or feel as if, the ReZero world is just too big and it's too overwhelming for them to actually read the series. So if you are one of these people, one of these fake readers who parade around, please stop. And genuinely, here are some outlets to, maybe make the consumption of ReZero a bit easier. Firstly, you're going to want to download 11 Labs, and you can genuinely go in there and you can put any type of voice that you want. It might be a couple of bucks, but in retrospect, you're probably going to save money getting the web novel for free. So if you have the money to spare, use it. You could genuinely go in there and get audio files of Natsuki Subaru's voice, the dub voice actor, obviously. If you listen to sub, I don't know what to tell you. And put it in there, and you could genuinely get Subaru to read the story for you from his perspective, although that would be a bit strange because the novel is written in third person, but regardless, it is a familiar voice and one that is easy. On top of this, there is a couple of ReZero YouTubers out there who do audiobooks. And the audiobooks are honestly quite good. There is a specific cast that does a very good one for the beginning of Arc 6. And I remember back in 2020, there was one doing it for Arc 5, although that has now been adapted. So it's a bit outdated, but regardless, it is quite well. And if you don't want to do this, I would recommend trying to check out the light novel over the web novel because, like I said, the web novel can be a bit overwhelming. And yes, you can get the light novel for, let's just say, not having to pay money. You just have to go around it and do a couple of methods. I recommend just, looking up a PDF file or stuff like that regard if you get what I'm trying to say. I'm sure you guys know how to do that. I wouldn't recommend watching arc summaries. It's not that they are going to be bad per se, it's just that genuinely you are not going to get the full perspective. I think these YouTubers do a good job, but at the end of the day, them doing a good job is never going to give you the full story of the actual series. And if you don't want to do any of these options, then I feel like at that point, do you really care about the series that much? Do you really want to read it? Like, if you're one of those people who want to get into it and talk about the web novel and the stuff that goes on in the future and all that type of stuff, and you feel like you don't have the 15 minutes a day to just read a chapter a day or do something like that, or have the time to listen to an audiobook when you're doing nothing, then, I don't know what to tell you at that point. I kind of wanted to make this video as an outlet for fans who, feel as if they are stuck with the anime and don't really have the time to look past that and give a couple of options otherwise, but if you're still not willing to do all that, then it is what it is. So yeah, that about does it for the video today. And I want to say this is all in regards, for Arc 6, 7, 8, and kind of 9. If you are a current ReZero reader, obviously, and are caught up with the web novels such as I am, it can get a bit tricky to read the latest chapters because it does take Witch Code translations a couple of days to translate. You can go ahead and do your own translations, whether that be through Google Translations or Eminent Translations or whatever Japanese translating sites are out there, but obviously it's a bit shaky, so you'll end up having to at first read, summaries on Reddit or watch a Jake Z YouTube video if you don't have the time, but obviously you come around and you eventually do read it. So yeah, that's not applying to those people. It just applies to the people out there who are willingly kind of shutting down any avenue they have and going ahead and just going on to ChatGPT or Wiki or whatever it is and just, not actually checking out the series. Please stop. Anyways, that about does it for the videos today, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I am sorry for the lack of content lately. I really do plan on getting back on forth, but college is not no joke, especially when you are a STEM major and you got classes like immunology kind of kicking you in the butt. So, thank you guys for watching. Regardless, I will try to stay more consistent with my content and keep up the quality. I plan on trying to actually get a mic soon, so my audio quality isn't horrible like how it is right now because I record on a Ring camera with my phone. But anyways, enough about me. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.